Good day, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to stand before you today and share something deeply personal, the 5 pivotal things that changed my life. These lessons were born from moments of joy, challenge, and growth, and I hope they resonate with you as you walk your own path. Belief is a powerful force that shapes our lives in ways we often don't fully realize. It is the foundation upon which dreams are built and the fuel that drives us to pursue them. For years, I underestimated the power of belief. Like many, I let self-doubt cloud my judgment, convincing myself that I wasn't good enough or capable enough to achieve the things I desired. But the day I learned to believe in myself was the day my life began to transform in ways I never thought possible. Belief isn't just a thought or a fleeting moment of confidence. It's a deeply rooted conviction that you are capable of achieving greatness. It starts in your mind, but it doesn't stay there. It manifests in your actions, decisions, and ultimately in the outcomes you achieve. For me, belief became the key that unlocked doors I thought were permanently closed. It allowed me to step into opportunities with courage and face challenges with determination. One of the most profound lessons I learned about belief is that it often requires you to stand firm when others doubt you. There were moments in my life when the people around me didn't see my vision or understand my goals. Their skepticism made me question myself, and at times I was tempted to give up, but I realized that their doubts didn't define me, my belief in myself did. I had to learn to silence the noise and focus on my inner voice, the one that whispered, "You can do this." Belief isn't something that comes naturally to everyone. For many, it's a skill that has to be nurtured and developed over time. I remember starting with small steps, setting achievable goals, and celebrating each victory, no matter how minor it seemed. With every accomplishment, my belief grew stronger. Success breeds confidence, and confidence reinforces belief. It's a cycle that builds momentum, propelling you toward greater achievements. One of the greatest obstacles to belief is fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of the unknown. Fear has a way of paralyzing us, making even the smallest tasks feel insurmountable. But what I discovered is that belief doesn't mean the absence of fear, it means choosing to move forward despite it. Belief gives you the courage to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, and to trust that even if you stumble, you'll find a way to get back up. There's a saying that goes, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. This truth became clear to me as I observed the impact of my mindset on my life. When I approached challenges with doubt, I often fell short. My lack of belief created a self-fulfilling prophecy where my fear of failure led to failure itself. But when I began to approach challenges with confidence and conviction, the outcomes changed. I wasn't always successful, but I was always growing, learning, and getting closer to my goals. Belief also has a ripple effect. When you believe in yourself, it inspires others to believe in you too. I've experienced this firsthand in my relationships, career, and personal endeavors. People are drawn to confidence and positivity. When they see that you trust in your abilities and are committed to your vision, they're more likely to support and invest in you. This creates a network of encouragement and collaboration, amplifying the power of belief even further. But perhaps the most significant lesson I've learned is that belief must be rooted in action. It's not enough to simply think or hope that something will happen. You have to take steps to make it a reality. Belief without action is like a car without fuel. It might look promising, but it won't take you anywhere. Every dream I've achieved has been the result of combining belief with hard work, perseverance, and a willingness to adapt when things didn't go as planned. Building belief in yourself is a journey, not a destination. It requires patience, persistence, and a commitment to personal growth. There will be setbacks along the way, moments when doubt creeps back in and you feel like giving up. But those are the moments when belief matters most. It's easy to believe in yourself when everything is going well. The real test comes when you're faced with adversity. Looking back, I realized that belief wasn't just something that changed my life, it was the foundation for every other change that followed. It gave me the courage to dream big, the strength to overcome challenges, and the determination to keep going even when the odds were against me. It taught me that I am more capable than I ever imagined and that the only limits I face are the ones I place on myself. Belief is the spark that ignites transformation. It's the voice that tells you to keep going when the road gets tough, the light that guides you through the darkest moments, and the force that turns dreams into reality. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that belief has the power to change everything, not just your circumstances, but your entire perspective on what's possible. And once you embrace that power, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Belief is one of the most transformative forces in life. It holds the power to shape our actions, define our decisions, and ultimately determine the paths we walk. Yet, for much of my life, I underestimated its value. I used to think that success depended solely on hard work or luck, overlooking the role that belief both in myself and in the possibilities around me plays in achieving our goals. But when I discovered the true power of belief, it became a turning point that changed everything. Belief starts as a thought, a simple notion that something is possible. It's not always loud or grand sometimes. It's just a quiet voice that says, "What if?" For me, this realization came during a time of uncertainty. I was stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, constantly questioning whether I had what it took to succeed. I let fear dominate my decisions and used it as an excuse to play it safe. But deep down, I knew that staying in my comfort zone would never lead to the life I wanted. What shifted everything was a moment of clarity. I realized that belief wasn't something external that I had to find. It was something I had to create within myself. It wasn't about being confident all the time or having all the answers. It was about deciding that I was willing to try no matter how uncertain or challenging the path seemed. Once I made that choice, I began to see possibilities where I once saw barriers. One of the most profound lessons I've learned about belief is that it's contagious. When you believe in yourself, others start to believe in you too. This ripple effect creates a powerful dynamic where confidence and trust feed into each other. I've seen this in my relationships, my work, and my personal growth. People are drawn to those who exude self-assurance, not because they never face doubts, but because they refuse to let those doubts define them. But belief doesn't come naturally to everyone. It's a skill that requires cultivation. For me, the journey began with small steps. I started by setting realistic goals and following through on them, no matter how minor they seemed. Each accomplishment, no matter how small, became a building block for my confidence. Success isn't always about monumental leaps. Sometimes it's about steady, consistent progress that reminds you of your capabilities. Of course, belief alone isn't enough. It has to be paired with action. Believing in yourself doesn't mean waiting for things to happen. It means taking deliberate steps toward your goals. I've learned that even when you don't feel fully prepared or confident, acting with intention can create momentum. Each step forward reinforces your belief, creating a cycle of growth and progress. Fear is one of the greatest obstacles to belief. It whispers lies in your ear, convincing you that failure is inevitable or that you're not good enough. For a long time, I let fear dictate my choices. But over time, I realized that belief doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. Courage isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to keep going even when doubt is present. Belief also involves letting go of the need for perfection. I used to think that I had to have everything figured out before I could start pursuing my dreams. But life doesn't work that way. If you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. True belief means trusting that you can figure things out along the way, that mistakes are part of the process, and that progress is more important than perfection. One of the most surprising things I've discovered about belief is how it changes your perspective. When you truly believe in yourself, you start to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. You become more willing to take risks, to learn from failure, and to adapt when things don't go as planned. This mindset shift has been one of the most liberating aspects of my journey. Looking back, I realized that belief has been the foundation for every significant change in my life. It gave me the courage to dream big, the resilience to overcome setbacks, and the determination to keep going even when the odds were against me. It taught me that the limits I once thought were real were often just illusions created by my own mind. Belief is a choice we make every day. It's not about pretending that everything will always be easy or perfect. It's about trusting that you have the strength and resourcefulness to handle whatever comes your way. It's about embracing the unknown with an open heart and a willing spirit, knowing that every step forward brings you closer to the life you envision. Ultimately, belief is what turns dreams into reality. It's the spark that ignites transformation, the force that propels you past fear, and the foundation that supports you through every challenge. And once you learn to harness the power of belief, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. Belief is one of the most transformative forces in life. It acts as a guiding light, a source of strength, and a wellspring of courage that propels us forward. But for many, including myself, belief doesn't always come naturally. It often takes moments of introspection, challenges, and a willingness to embrace growth to truly understand its power. For me, belief wasn't something I stumbled upon, it was something I built, and in doing so, it changed the course of my life forever. There was a time when I allowed doubt to rule my decisions. I hesitated to take risks because I was afraid of failing. I second-guessed my abilities, comparing myself to others and always coming up short in my own mind. This constant cycle of fear and self-doubt was exhausting, and it left me feeling stuck. Deep down, I wanted to change my circumstances, but I didn't believe I could. It was as if I was trapped by my own thoughts, unable to see beyond the limitations I had placed on myself. Belief, I discovered, is not a passive state, it's an active choice. It requires us to reject the voices of doubt, whether they come from within or from others. There were times when people around me questioned my decisions or doubted my abilities. Their words stung, and I often found myself questioning whether they were right, but over time, I learned that the most important voice to listen to is your own. When you believe in yourself, it creates a resilience that helps you push through criticism and negativity. One of the most empowering aspects of belief is its ability to transform failure into a learning opportunity. I used to view failure as proof that I wasn't good enough, but now I see it as a stepping stone to growth. Every time I faced a setback, I asked myself what I could learn from the experience and how I could do better next time. This shift in perspective didn't just make failure less intimidating, it made it valuable. Belief gave me the courage to keep going, knowing that each attempt brought me closer to my goals. One of the most profound lessons I've learned about belief is that it's contagious. When you exude confidence and conviction, it inspires those around you. People are drawn to individuals who believe in themselves because it creates a sense of trust and reliability. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or always have everything figured out. It simply means showing up with the intention to give your best and trusting that it will be enough. But belief isn't always easy. It's tested in moments of uncertainty and challenge when fear and doubt try to take hold. There were times when I felt overwhelmed, unsure of whether I could handle what lay ahead. In those moments, I reminded myself of the times I had succeeded against the odds. I reminded myself of the strength I had shown in the past and used it as a foundation for building confidence in the present. Belief also requires patience and persistence. It's not something that happens overnight, nor is it a one-time decision. It's a practice, a habit that must be nurtured daily. There were days when belief felt natural, and there were days when I had to fight for it. But each time I chose to believe in myself, it became easier to do so again. Looking back, I can see how belief has shaped every aspect of my life. It gave me the courage to take risks, the strength to overcome setbacks, and the vision to pursue goals that once felt impossible. It taught me that the limits we face are often self-imposed and that with belief we can break through them. Belief is not about being fearless or never facing doubt. It's about choosing to act. Despite those feelings, it's about trusting that you have what it takes to navigate whatever challenges come your way. And most importantly, it's about understanding that belief isn't just a gift you give yourself, it's the foundation upon which you build the life you truly want. The people we surround ourselves with have an immense impact on our lives. They influence our thoughts, decisions, habits, and ultimately the trajectory of our journey. For years, I didn't fully appreciate this truth. I believed that as long as I worked hard and stayed focused, the company I kept wouldn't matter much. But over time, I began to notice how the energy, attitudes, and values of those around me affected my own. This realization marked a turning point in my life, and it taught me the importance of surrounding myself with the right people. We often underestimate how deeply we are shaped by our environment. The people closest to us act as mirrors, reflecting back versions of ourselves, both positive and negative. If you're surrounded by negativity, constant criticism, or a lack of ambition, it can become difficult to maintain your own sense of optimism and drive. On the other hand, being around supportive, inspiring, and motivated individuals can elevate you even during challenging times. I realized the importance of this lesson when I found myself stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and complacency. The people I spent the most time with at that point in my life were well-meaning but often pessimistic. They had a tendency to focus on what couldn't be done rather than what was possible. Conversations revolved around complaints, excuses, and fear of failure. Slowly but surely, I noticed these patterns creeping into my own thinking. I began to doubt my goals, question my abilities, and settle for less than I was capable of achieving. Recognizing this wasn't easy. It's hard to admit that the people you care about might not be the best influences, even if unintentionally, but I knew that if I wanted to grow, I needed to make a change. I didn't cut ties or distance myself from these individuals entirely. Instead, I became more intentional about the people I allowed into my inner circle. I sought out individuals who inspired me, challenged me to think differently, and pushed me to be my best self. One of the most profound changes came when I started spending time with people who believed in my potential even when I didn't. These were individuals who saw possibilities where I saw obstacles and who encouraged me to aim higher than I thought I could. Their faith in me became a source of strength during moments of doubt. They weren't afraid to call me out when I was selling myself short or settling for mediocrity, and their honesty helped me grow. Being around ambitious and driven individuals also shifted my perspective on success. Instead of viewing it as a distant, unattainable goal, I began to see it as something within reach. Their achievements weren't just a source of inspiration, they became a roadmap for what was possible. Seeing their hard work pay off reminded me that success isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's available to anyone willing to put in the effort and persevere through challenges. Equally important was surrounding myself with people who valued kindness, empathy, and authenticity. It's easy to get caught up in chasing goals and forget the importance of staying grounded. The right people remind you of your values, encourage you to stay true to yourself, and provide a sense of balance. They're the ones who celebrate your victories without jealousy, support you during setbacks without judgment, and offer wisdom when you feel lost. Over time, I noticed how these relationships not only influenced my mindset, but also my habits. When I surrounded myself with people who were disciplined, focused, and motivated, I naturally adopted similar behaviors. It became easier to stay committed to my goals because I was part of an environment that fostered growth. On the flip side, when I spent time with individuals who lacked direction or indulged in procrastination, I found myself slipping into those patterns as well. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned is that the right people aren't necessarily those who agree with you all the time. In fact, some of the most transformative relationships in my life have been with individuals who challenged me, questioned my assumptions, and pushed me out of my comfort zone. They didn't do this out of criticism, but out of a genuine desire to see me grow. Their perspectives helped me see things from angles I hadn't considered and made me stronger in the process. Of course, building and maintaining these relationships takes effort. It's not just about finding the right people, it's about being the right person as well. I had to ask myself what kind of energy I was bringing into my relationships. Was I encouraging, supportive, and uplifting? Or was I contributing negativity and doubt? Surrounding yourself with great people starts with being someone others want to be around. As I became more intentional about my relationships, I also learned to let go of those that no longer served me. This doesn't mean cutting people off harshly or without reason, but rather recognizing when certain relationships have run their course. Not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever, and that's okay. Letting go creates space for new connections that align with your values and goals. Looking back, I can see how profoundly my life has been shaped by the people I chose to surround myself with. They've been my mentors, cheerleaders, and challengers, each playing a unique role in my journey. Their influence has taught me the importance of staying intentional about my environment and the people I allow into it. The right people don't just make life more enjoyable, they make it richer, more meaningful, and more aligned with your highest potential. They remind you of your worth, encourage you to dream bigger, and help you become the best version of yourself. And when you surround yourself with people who lift you up, you'll find that the possibilities in your life become limitless. Throughout life, we encounter moments that define us, decisions that shape us, and people who influence us in ways we might not fully comprehend at the time. Among the many lessons I've learned, one stands out with unparalleled clarity: the importance of surrounding myself with the right people. This single decision has transformed not only the way I approach challenges, but also how I see myself in the world. It's not merely about companionship or filling space in our lives. It's about fostering growth, cultivating inspiration, and creating an environment where we can thrive. For years, I didn't think much about the people I spent my time with. I assumed that relationships were simply a natural part of life, something that happened without much thought or intention. Friends came and went, and I never questioned whether the people around me were helping or hindering my growth. But as I began to set bigger goals and dream of a more fulfilling life, I noticed a pattern. The company I kept often dictated the energy I carried, the mindset I maintained, and the choices I made. There was a time when I found myself surrounded by individuals who were content with mediocrity, not out of malice, but because they feared change. Their conversations were laced with doubts, complaints, and excuses. Over time, their skepticism seeped into my own thinking. I found myself hesitating to take risks, settling for less, and convincing myself that dreams were meant to remain just that, dreams. And it wasn't until I stepped back and reflected on my own behavior that I realized how much their attitudes had influenced me. The shift began when I decided to take control of my environment. I made a conscious effort to seek out people who inspired me, challenged me, and believed in the power of growth. These individuals weren't necessarily the most successful or accomplished people I knew, but they had an unwavering drive, a sense of purpose, and an optimistic outlook on life. Being around them was like a breath of fresh air. Their energy was contagious, and their presence made me want to be better. One of the most profound impacts of surrounding myself with the right people was the boost in my own self-belief. These individuals saw potential in me that I often overlooked. They didn't allow me to settle for excuses or shy away from challenges. Instead, they encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and embrace the unknown. Their confidence in me became a mirror, reflecting back a version of myself I hadn't yet recognized. Over time, I began to adopt their belief as my own, realizing that I was capable of far more than I'd ever imagined. Another remarkable effect was the shift in my perspective. When you're surrounded by people who dream big, their vision expands your own. Conversations become less about limitations and more about possibilities. I started to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than obstacles to fear. I learned that failure wasn't something to be avoided at all costs, but a necessary part of the journey towards success. These lessons didn't come from lectures or advice. They came from observing how these individuals lived their lives and handled their own challenges. It's not just about finding people who inspire and support you. It's also about letting go of relationships that no longer serve your growth. This was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn. There were people in my life who I cared about deeply, but whose negativity and resistance to change were holding me back. Walking away from those relationships wasn't easy, but it was necessary for my well-being and progress. Letting go created space for new connections that aligned with my values and aspirations. Being intentional about the company I keep has also taught me the importance of reciprocity in relationships. It's not just about finding the right people, it's about being the right person. I had to ask myself, am I someone who uplifts and inspires others? Do I contribute positively to my relationships? These questions pushed me to grow not only for myself, but for the people I cared about. Surrounding myself with the right people became a mutual journey of growth and encouragement. Today, I can confidently say that the people in my life are among my greatest assets. They challenge me to think bigger, support me when I stumble, and celebrate my victories as if they were their own. They remind me of what's possible and help me stay grounded in my values. Most importantly, they've taught me that the right relationships don't just happen, they're cultivated with intention, effort, and care. Looking back, I realized that surrounding myself with the right people was not just a choice, it was a necessity. It has transformed my mindset, elevated my ambitions, and given me the strength to face challenges head-on. The company we keep has the power to shape our lives in ways we can't always predict, and when we choose wisely, the possibilities are endless.